Right, hi everyone. We are making Viennese Whirls today, and the first thing, I've attached this to show my homework for you, the templates. So you'll see I've got a template underneath for this size, and that's purely so that you can get them an equal size when you are piping. And when you're practicing your piping, it's actually much easier to use a template. The other thing I wanted to say to you was that you can put greaseproof paper over it. That's absolutely fine. Get that ready before you start so that you've got that. Then you are simply, they're actually very easy biscuits to make, guys. I personally, I'm not a huge fan of them. They're a little bit too rich for me. I prefer shortbread. But they both work, both those kinds of biscuits work on the same principle, and it's the amount of fat. Whenever you've got a lot more fat to, well, a lot of fat to flour ratio, the richer the biscuit is going to be. So I've got some very soft butter here. This has been out in my kitchen and I've had the oven on, and so it's really, really soft. You do want soft butter because otherwise you won't be able to mix it at all. And then you are simply going to add all your other ingredients in together. So I've got icing sugar, and that's going to go in. And then what I like to do, and this is just purely because I don't like clouds of icing sugar all over my kitchen, I just like to mix just a little so that some of the icing sugar has already incorporated into the butter. Otherwise you do get sort of a cloud of icing sugar going. Then I add the flour and I add the corn flour. Now there are a couple of things that are going on in this recipe that cause the melting moments to be so soft and crumbly, and that is the corn flour, the addition of corn flour, and the amount of fat. And you'll see the texture of the cookie is, it is really, another name for these biscuits is melting moments, and that is exactly what they do in your mouth. They sort of melt in your mouth. So once you've got all your ingredients into your bowl, oops, sorry, there's one other thing, and that is your vanilla extract. Now I like to use vanilla bean paste just because I think that it has a lot more flavor. Well, man, I just like it, and I don't put it into a measuring spoon. I just simply guess about a teaspoon. You can measure it certainly, and then you can use a small little spatula to actually get it out of the spoon. And that is it. That's all your ingredients together. I'm just going to clean my spatula. I'm going to use my spatula again, so I have a little spoon rest for it next to my bowl. And now it's going to be noisy, but we are going to just use the hand mixer to mix this together, to cream it together. And again, I'm just going to start off very slow. And you'll see when you start off that you'll get this sort of crumbly texture, but keep going and I promise it will change. You'll see it changing. And the other reason you want it nice and creamy is so that it can go in your piping bag. If you're finding that it's taking a while to get together, just use your spatula and sort of push the mixture together, and then it will be easier for the mixer to actually combine the ingredients. I'm going to carry on and do that and then show you what it looks like. Right, so you can see that it's starting to come together and it's starting to make a more creamy texture. You're also incorporating air into the mixture, and that will make it lighter. So the lighter it goes, you know, the creamier your mixture is, and the creaming method is working. Halfway through, just take your spatula and get all your mixture down into the center of the bowl, and then continue with your mixer until you're happy that you've got a nicely creamed and soft mixture. Right, so I've got that, and you can see it's nicely creamed, it's changed color completely. And the reason these are so soft and short is because you're coating all the flour and the starch particles in a layer of fat, and this breaks down the gluten and that gives it that crumbly texture. Now I've got a piping bag ready next to me, but I did just want to tell you about the piping nozzles. Now it is a very difficult mixture to pipe because it is quite thick and you can't really get it any thinner than this. So choose a piping tip with the largest opening that you can find, a star nozzle. The smaller ones, they take a lot of difficulty. If you don't have a star-shaped one, just a round opening will work as well. Right, now to fill your piping bag, you can either put it into a tall glass or a mug or something like that. Pop your piping nozzle into the bottom and make sure it's in the bottom, and then you can start using the mug to help you fill. I've done a lot of piping. I don't actually cut the bottom off just yet. Okay, so I like to fold it. Stop making a noise. I like to fold it over my hand, and my hand becomes the cup. But it does get a little bit more difficult when you get to the end, so that is where a mug or a tall glass will actually help. So then you take your mixture and you are using your thumb to wipe the mixture, and you're going to push the mixture in to your piping bag. Oops. And then when you get to just lift your paper, your bag, just a little, and carry on. Keep using your thumb as your little scraper. And there we go. I've got all that mixture into my bag. Now, it's something that you need to practice, guys. Piping is a skill, and it's a high skill. So now you are going to bring your bag up. Okay, do not squish over here. You are going to hold it at the top, and you're simply going to push the mixture down. Then you're going to squeeze it between your thumb and your first finger and twist, right? So that you've got a nice hold here. Now this is the time when I actually chop off the end, and it's probably going to need to be about there, and then the piping tip will fall through. And then when you push to get the mixture to the end, and then you keep twisting until you can see the mixture coming to the tip. Now, to get everything ready, just pop your bag into your mug or tall glass, and then I'm going to get ready to pipe. Right, now you can do this in two ways. You can either just pipe a sort of a rose. So I'm just trying to figure out how to get this so that you can actually see the angle. Right, so you're going to hold it upright, not at an angle. I'm going to move my camera, hopefully you'll be able to see that. So you're going to hold it upright, and you're simply going to, you push with this hand and this part of your hand. So I'm holding the piping bag here between my thumb and forefinger, and then I'm going to just push, and I'm not moving, right? And I'm going to lift it up. Do that again. And push, right? And or you can do this, and you can start on the outside and follow the outside edge and make a little star in the middle. Right? So you can see the difference between the two. So I'm going to make one more of those so that I have an even number, because you're going to sandwich them together. And I actually prefer this shape, so I'm going to make the rest of mine that shape. And I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Right, now I have done all of them. Now you see this little one over here. What I had was a little bit of mixture just left in the piping bag, and what I do is I just use my thumb to push out the rest of the mixture, and that one is your tester. So it's got to be done, guys. You have to taste what you make, and because they're delicious, that's yours. All right, so don't waste any mixture, rather bake it. And of course you've got a little ready-made tester, and it's the only uneven one in the bunch, so all the others can be sandwiched together, and that's your little quality control. Right, those are going to go into the oven for about 12-15 minutes, guys. Everybody's ovens are different, at about 170 degrees if you've got a fan oven, 190 if not. All the information is on your recipes, and I'll show you what they look like when they come out. Right, guys, so what I've got in here is I have got some ganache, but I have made it with condensed milk and melted chocolate. And that is what I'm going to use to sandwich some of the melting moments, the Viennese Whirls, together. And I'll put the recipe on that, for that, on the under the video. And what I'm going to do now is I'm literally just going to use it like icing sugar. So I'm actually going to mix it up. And I'm actually going to pop just a little bit of milk in there. Can you do what?
Talk.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't press. Right, so I've just added about a teaspoon of milk to that, and I've mixed it up. And you get a lovely consistency with which to fill your melting moments, and it will get a little bit harder. Right, guys, so those are out of the oven, but I actually just wanted to show you, I actually did 2 lots of melting moments, and I wanted to do that specifically so that I could compare the differences between butter and margarine, so baking block and the butter, as in flavor, but as well as in appearance. Now I'm hoping you can see I've actually switched the overhead light off so that you can I'm hoping you can see the ones with the butter actually went a lot darker. The dextrinization on the outside was much nicer than the dextrinization and the color that you get from the margarine. Not sure why that is. I'm going to have to do a little bit of research on that. Now I love the flavor of the butter in these, in anything really, and these have just come out of the oven, so they're really soft. They've actually got and they had to stay in for a lot longer. These were only in for about 15 minutes, and these I had to leave in for 20 minutes, and I'm actually still not 100% happy with the center of those. I'm going to have a little taste. And I have to say, flavor-wise, they're okay. Not as nice, nowhere near as nice as the butter ones. The texture is okay, and they are definitely crumbly. So you're going to get a similar result if you use baking block, but if I have to give a recommendation, I'm still going to have to go for the butter rather than the margarine. But they'll work both ways, guys. Right guys, so the last step in these is to actually do the filling. But what I do want to say to you is be very gentle with these biscuits, guys, because they are very crumbly. So the first filling that I have, and I will put the recipe in for you, is a chocolate ganache. So it's a soft, almost, it's very similar to buttercream. And I'm going to just pipe. Be very careful. A dab in the middle, and I'm going to do 4 of those because I've got another filling for the other one. And then for the other ones, I have got some strawberry jam, now I prefer more strawberry jam to icing, but that's because I'm not a fan of icing sugar, so I pop a lot more strawberry jam on it, and I tend to put less icing sugar on it. I'm just going to do 2 of those. Oops, that's a little bit too much. Right, and then on those ones I have some buttercream, and I'm just going to pipe a little swirl of buttercream on those, and then you're simply going to take the opposite number and pop it on top, so you've got a little sandwich. Right, and that is going to go on my serving plate, and I'll show you what they look like after. Right guys, and then the last thing that we're going to do is we're just going to take a little, half a teaspoon of icing sugar, and we're going to just dust them with some icing sugar. Got a few little lumps in there. And there we have it. Viennese Whirls, or melting moments. Have a go guys and see what you think. Practice your piping and let me know how it goes.